Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. Today, we have a very big video to cover today. We have something that I think a lot of people have been wondering, have been asking, and well, Boilon's here to reveal to you today what the next upcoming legendary character is going to be, or who that's going to be. And also, we're going to be taking a look at my thoughts on the team. I do know the theme of the team. I do not know 100% the new characters, but we are going to go over some of the reworks that I think are pretty much in the bag. I would be surprised if it wasn't. And we're going to go over some of the characters that I believe are going to be new coming to this team alongside the legendary as well. So some exciting stuff to go over. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Now, for the purposes of this video, we are going to be going into full screen mode, which means I'm not going to be on the screen. I know that a lot of people have been requesting that I remove the frames from my recording when I do in the PowerPoint style. I do find this to be the easiest way for me to be able to go over this, and we're going to be doing this. So the next legendary character, who is he? Well, he's following the Age of X storyline. There have been previous Easter eggs that were made in the story dialogue. Believe it or not, they've been pushing this a little bit more. Like, for example, the Alpha Flight team, in the Alpha Flight story, it did mention Orcus. So if you've been paying close attention to the story, and also maybe some of my videos from the past, then you might have actually had some hints about this fairly early on. And there were actually, it's funny, because over the last couple of weeks, there's been a handful of people who have actually guessed this correctly in random videos that I've done. Maybe random conversation about the next legendary, and they may post about it. I was like, wow, you got it right. So there is going to be the connections to Xavier remains true. This was something that was said very early on with Old Man Logan. Don't ask about Odin and why. I have no idea what was going on there. I'm pretty sure it was like basically confirmed that Odin was supposed to be a legendary character and not a Dark Dimension mythic. They just cash grab. They needed money, etc., etc. The next character and team will be a mutant team. I know some people are going to be surprised about this, given the fact that Old Man Logan was pretty sure. Yeah, they're all mutant, right? Pretty much. Mercs for Money. Well, not the entire team. The entire Mercs for Money team were not mutant, but anyways, this legendary is going to be a mutant character. However, he is going to be a villain mutant, and so let's reveal the Shadow King. You probably saw it on my thumbnail anyways. So he was mentioned in the Minds of Magneto Age of X story arc. You may have remembered because I did some videos on this actually about a month ago over here. Magneto rework, Old Man Logan trial updates, and then more hints. We talked about the dialogue of the Minds of Magneto event, where I hypothesized that the Shadow King was coming. Now, the irony of all of this is that I actually did not know at this time that the Shadow King was coming. I was just reading the Easter egg stuff of the dialogue, and I thought that I was onto something there. Turns out that I just didn't know at that time that this was who we were getting, and I did not know that he was going to be the next legendary character at that time, but I do now. And so I think looking back at this kind of shows how important it is that we carry on to reading the text of the dialogue, so you never know when it's going to pop up again. So who is the Shadow King? Well, he is a multiversal manifestation of the dark side. I will need to fix that, of human consciousness embodied in the mutant Amal Farouk. So this is I love this image of him, because if you've watched the 90s X-Men cartoon, you would have probably seen, I think in the cartoon you actually see him more in his astral projection form, where Xavier does battle with the Shadow King on the astral plane. I don't remember how many episodes this happens, but I know this does happen. You might have seen some connection with Storm as well in the early X-Men days, and there's just like he's there as part of an X-Men. He's an X-Men villain, straightforward. So his mutant powers do include telepathy, and again with the Shadow King, being able to battle others on the astral plane. And this is kind of what the theme of the team is going to be. It is going to be related to other mutant psychics, and especially with connection to the astral plane, which is why I underlined that. Now, you might be wondering, well, who is he for, and what is he for, and what are we going to be doing? Shadow King is going to be part of a new Battle World and War Defense team. Yes, I can hear the groans already when people are when people heard me say War Defense. So we know, just to step back a little bit, we know that with Alpha Flight, that they designed Alpha Flight to be both for that and the Spotlight raids, and kind of in raids in general, because I'm using them actually for the last boss in the Orcus raids too. Uh, but they know that people hate War Defense because you don't get to play with them. And so they doubled up here with the Shadow King to also be a Battle World team, which is going to be designed to be very strong at battling Null on the final day of Battle World. Now, if you've kept up with my videos in my channel, then you would have known everything that I've talked about so far regarding Battle World, that yes, there is going to be a final boss battle for Null, and you're not going to be able to get Null shards unless you do well in that final day, as far as I am aware. And so this team is going to be important, very integral for you doing very well in that battle, for you to start collecting, well, doing broadly well in Battle World, but doing well in that last day as well. And I think that there's going to be other places that you're going to be wanting to use this team as well. There might be a mission related to this team in Battle World, or where you can use them. And because they're a war defense team, I think that they probably will also excel in Crucible defense, or they'll make some sort of season with a global buff or something to make them usable, right? And given that it is a legendary team, you can pretty much assume that, given the stat creep that we have with the new stat era, that this is going to be like a Mercs for Money war defense on steroids, in my opinion, because Old Man Logan was so powerful. I can only imagine how powerful the Shadow King is going to be, say at 5/5 or whatever. With the new stat era, is just going to be absolutely crazy. Don't ask. I do not know what their kits are going to be entailing at this point in time. I just wanted to outline the teams and the game modes that they are going to be used for. And so I do want to talk more broadly about who I think the reworks will be accompanying, and also some of the newer characters. Now, I do not know for 100% certainty if these characters are going to be the ones on the team. I think some of them are more likely than others. But I do know, I can tell you 100% a Boilon guarantee, the Shadow King is going to be the next legendary character. So keep that one in mind. But the theme of the team involves mutant psychics. So let's start things off. The reworks are very likely to be existing mutant psychics. I am unsure if they are all villains. I don't know if this is designed to be a mutant villain team or not, or a mixture. There's not very many characters to choose from, honestly. Once you start filtering mutants, like, there's just really not many that this could be, given the theme. But I believe that they're still following the 2 reworks plus 3 new characters formula that they seem to be, really happy about doing. So let's talk about rework number 1, and I think this is honestly my top pick, which is going to be Madeline Pryor. If you've been watching the X-Men 97 I mean, it's done now, but if you watched, past tense, the X-Men 97 cartoon, Madeline Pryor was featured very heavily in this, and is a very well-known mutant psychic character. She's formerly an MSF, anyways, of Marauders fame, but never really got a lot of love. I don't feel that the Marauders 2.0 rework, which was honestly some time ago, I don't know how long it was, like 2-3 years ago now at this point, it was also very war defense focused. So I'm not sure how much alteration to the kits would need to be made. Obviously, a stat bump in the new stat era, and maybe some inclusions to the team versus just Marauders, right? I don't know if it would. It's actually a pretty decent kit. And with the, if you've ever fought her as an enemy, her ultimate actually is very powerful. So I could see this with the new stat era just being really, really powerful. So we'll have to see about that one. Now, number 2 is going to be Psylocke. So the MSF version of Psylocke is Betsy Braddock, not Quanon, and she is a known hero psychic. I said psychic within hero in quotes there, or not quotes, in brackets there, because she is a hero character, not a villain character. So again, if it is Psylocke, then it's going to be a mixed hero villain team. If it's a full villain mutant team, maybe not Psylocke, but I'm not sure at this point, because the name of the team that I'm aware of doesn't necessarily specify it's just a villain team. She is a former Death Seed acclaim, so those veterans of you, you guys, you're gonna have her probably at least a G1790. For newer players, you're probably not gonna have her leveled up though, so that might be a little bit of a pain in the ass. I don't remember what store she's in, but she wouldn't be that hard to farm, I don't think. They seem okay with reworking old Horseman characters. They literally just did Agatha, and before that, they did Sunfire for Alpha Flight. They've done Gambit for Extreme X-Men. I think they've ripped apart. Well, actually, no, they've just ripped apart Darkhold and Unlimited X-Men. I don't think they've done anyone from Gamma. Trying to think off the top of my head. I don't think they've done anything like that. And I guess they have not done so yet for Desi. So this would be the first, however, if they decide to go along with Psylocke. But not needless to say, they seem to be okay with ripping characters out. So of those teams. Rework number 3. Now, I do not know if this is going to be I think this is gonna be less likely, mainly because Emma Frost is a character that they're trying to move away from in the game. They've been intentionally adding passives to characters that basically exclude her passive about the speed, where they cannot be affected by speed changes and things like that, which is like an FU to the Emma Frost passive. So I feel like this is less likely. Also, she is from the same team, sort of, from Madeline Pryor. They were both on the sort of Marauders 2.0 team with, I think, Mr. Sinister as like the main connector there. And the callouts, she does have like base villain mutant synergy in her kit, but I don't think that this is probably happening, but she is a famous mutant psychic, and so I did want to put that out there just in case, in the off chance that they do decide to do this. But I would say for sure it's going to be Madeline Pryor, and I guess it's a pretty strong possibility that they are going to be doing Psylocke as a result of that. Let's move on to some of the new characters, though. So there's two themes that are going to be covered by the new characters, or the team in general, but their relationships to Xavier and the Shadow King, and they are a mutant psychic with some sort of connection to the astral plane, or they can project to the astral plane, or blah 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 blah. Typically, that they're mutant psychics. So let's start this off here with number 1, which is going to be Legion. So Charles Xavier's son, aka David Haller, he has immense psychic powers with connections to the Shadow King. I believe he's an Omega level mutant. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think he probably, I mean, who is not at this point, but it seems. But he also had the TV show Legion, with also the Shadow King as one of the main villains of that, the main antagonist of the show, I'm pretty sure. I know I have not seen the entire show. I just recently started watching, like very recently started watching, and I was talking about it in my Discord channel. And so this is a character that I think has a high possibility coming to the game. I am not certain as far as the comic lore goes whether or not he would be a hero or a villain, either in the past or now. I think he's more of a hero character now, because especially in the Krakoa era, which is where we seem to be in the MSF storyline as well, given Orcus and all of this. So it very well could be a mixed mutant telepath psychic team, essentially, at this point. But like I said, Shadow King is 100% the legendary for this team. So the second possible new character, I do love these Marvel Snap cards, but it was the best art that I could find for Cassandra Nova. So Charles Xavier's unborn twin sister, who demonstrates immense psychic ability with an obvious connection to the Xavier family. And of course, if you've watched Deadpool and Wolverine, you would know that she is the main villain of that movie, which was just out not too long ago in the summer. So it's not too late to bring both an MCU related character into the game. They've definitely done that before, where they've kind of waited a little bit before they've released. Now, Cassandra Nova is a villain character, so again, I'm not sure if the hero or villain kind of thing matters at this point in time. I just didn't know if they wanted to theme this or not, because there are certain sections of the game, right, with like global villain and things like that. But I think we have more than enough of those in Dark Dimension 8 at this point that I don't think it matters whether or not they're global hero or global villain. But it might matter in terms of which of these characters we do end up getting. But Cassandra Nova would be a really fun character. Now, number 3, we have Rachel Summers. So a connection to Betsy Braddock and the Shadow King. As part of her lore, I read up that basically the Shadow King tried to kidnap or capture her from her timeline and bring her across to the 616. I don't know if that's ultimately how she got to 616, because she is in 616 now. But that's just what I was reading of Rachel Summers, of her past, or her early history, I guess, in the comics related to the Shadow King. She is an incredibly powerful psychic and a Phoenix host. She is also the daughter of, obviously, Cyclops and Jean Grey. So in the comics, she is actually, I believe, she is in a relationship with Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain. at this point in time in the comics. So, you know, if we do get a Psylocke rework, I could definitely see them including Rachel Summers on the list as a nod to that. And again, there's that connection to the Shadow King. So we'll have to see about that one. And then finally, this one I'm not 100%. This one I'm adding because he's a villain, and he's a very powerful villain mutant psychic, Exodus. He's an Omega level telekinetic psychic that was called the Psionic, a Psionic of the highest order, has powers in astral projection as well. However, he is often related to Magneto in the modern era of the comics. He is from like 12th century France, hence you can see kind of like the way that he dresses and things like that. But he also does have a, I think he has a little bit of a connection to Rachel Summers in the comics now in the Krakoa era, and he reveres her quite heavily, if I'm not mistaken. So, or was it Hope? Maybe I got that wrong. Maybe that was Hope Summers, actually. Oops, wrong character. Anyways, Exodus is a villain mutant, anyways, and so if they're going for that sort of full villain mutant connection, then there you go. So Exodus, Rachel Summers, Cassandra Nova, and Legion. Honestly, I really hope we get at least. I would love it if it was just a full Xavier family, but I think that if Psylocke is getting reworked, that Rachel Summers very well could make the list as well, and it would just be some a mixed hero villain team at this point. But what I can tell you is that I do believe that Madeline Pryor is very likely to be coming to the team. I'm fairly confident in this one, and I know 100% that the Shadow King is coming. I know 100% it's a Battle World and War Defense team at this point, and I do know 100% that the theme of the team is related to psychics and the astral plane. So yes, there are some things I know, some things I do not know, but what I would love to know is your thoughts in the comments down below about what we've talked about here in today's video. Which characters would you like to see come to Marvel Strike Force for the month of November? Like I said, the Shadow King is going to be the next legendary character, aka he's going to be the next legendary trial, and that's going to be requiring the Illuminati and the Annihilators. It's not said for certain at this point if they're going to be Stargated at 5 yellow, but it's heavily implied that I think we will be. Have to see how that goes when they decide to finally announce that. Of course, there's other announcements that I've discussed, or other things that I've brought up on my channel that I'm kind of waiting for them to kind of tick those boxes off as well. But let me know if you enjoyed the video as well. And otherwise, until next time, everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Boilon signing out.